Well, my father is from Holmes County and my mother was from Jackson County, which means when they got married, they settled in Jackson County. I was actually born in Marianna and raised in a little town outside of Marianna called Grand Ridge. My parents were both teachers. My father migrated from teaching to guidance counselor to assistant principal. But the reason that I have a connection with Walton County, there are actually two reasons. One, I have family ancestors that are buried at the old cemetery church in Uchiana Valley, ancestors of my father's family from back when Holmes County was part of Walton. The other reason is that my father's sister and her family settled into Funiac Springs and lived there all of their adult lives, and I spent many a happy day and weekend and summer playing on the circle of the Funiac Springs and riding bicycles and playing in the parks and just having a great time with family. So my first introduction to Funiac Springs was in the 60s and 70s. Obviously a much quieter time, it was a much smaller town, but I got to enjoy all the wonderful parks that were on the lake yard and visit all the shops and the stores and H&M hot dog stand and spent a lot of time in Funiac Springs when I was young. So when my planning career led me over to Walton County, I didn't have any qualms at all about accepting a position over here because I already felt at home in the Funiac Springs area because I had spent so much time here as I grew up. I was asked to become involved with Grit and Grace probably 15 years ago because there were people in there who knew about my background in community theater. When I first went to college at Chipola in Marianna, working on my art degree, I got involved with theater purely by accident because you needed electives and I needed to find an elective that fit, and I fell in love with community theater, with the acting, with the singing, but particularly with set design, how to do theater production. There's a process with creating a play and putting on a show. So when I came to Walton County, I got involved with the Florida Chautauqua Board of Directors right away because that was back when the wonderful, but of course we miss her every day, Beth Campbell was doing children's theater. And every year I would come in and do set design and theater production for her. And out of that relationship, over a period of about 12 years, I got recruited to come into Grit and Grace and help them. And I did a lot of singing and acting and working behind the scenes and the stage for that. But Grit and Grace hit a lot of notes for me because I am a Northwest Florida native, a dying breed, as you say. My father had roots here, and the idea that there's an organization whose sole mission is to capture the stories in the event and the locations and the people who made up the fabric of where we're all from and why we're here and what we've become because of the people before. I was really intrigued by that, respected very much the determination of the group, the consistent, constant group that worked to maintain this drive and this initiative to get the stories, to find the stories, to preserve those stories, and to do it in an entertaining way that everyone could enjoy. So I really think that's the primary mission of Grit and Grace and why I continue to come back and work with them, because we're preserving history in a new, unique way that we could not do any other way, by providing entertainment, making people laugh, making them cry, making them feel things, making them nostalgic for their childhoods. You know, my grandmother sat on the porch and shelled peas and lectured us that same way. Or to hear someone tell a story. I had a teacher who affected me just like that. They made me feel those things, and I became whatever profession because of that teacher. Initially, my first brush with Grit and Grace was when Ann Robinson, who was one of the founders, I knew her through other things, and she had found out about a couple of books that my father had written about growing up in Northwest Florida. One called Oh Heavenly Days, and another one called Let's Go to Florida. Florida is how his grandmother pronounced it. And I gave her copies of those books, and they did several stories from his books. One was about a rooster that pecked a little boy unmercifully, and what that was like. Very funny on stage, but one that's particularly meaningful to me is a story about a teacher that my father had as a child, who thought that my dad had taken a pen, and the online emotions and feelings and that came about because of that, and how that affected him his whole life. Also, what really strongly affected me about that story was the constant and unwavering belief that my grandmother had in that small boy, and his honesty and his integrity. And Ron, I can say that to you because you performed that story before, the fountain pen story. And it's those kinds of stories about those moving events, those things that shape us, that are so important in the mission of Grit and Grace and what we do. We continue to just try to honor that history and provide those stories in an entertaining way. And we hope we'll always be able to continue to do that. We've got a dedicated group. We're all volunteers. And we work hard to ferret out those little stories and those anecdotes and bring them to the stage so everybody can enjoy them. We can all have a great time looking back into the past, feeling that connection.